Hello everyone, I am Kiran Joshi. Hope you all are safe and sound. Dear children, this is class 7 history's 4th chapter, the Mughal Empire, and this is the third part of the video. Dear children, in the second video of this chapter, we learnt about Mughal relation with other rulers, Mansabdars, Jagirdars, Zamindars and their revenue system known as Zabt. Now let's have a closer look at one of the most famous Mughal rulers, Akbar, his policies and the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and after. The most important source for historians to learn about Akbar's administration is the Akbarnama written by Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl was one of Akbar's close friends and courtiers. Akbar gave him the responsibility to write a history of his reign. Abul Fazl wrote the history of Akbar's reign in 3 volumes. In the first volume, he wrote about Akbar's ancestors, and in the second volume, he recorded the events occurred in Akbar's reign. In the third volume, that is the Ain-e-Akbari, he elaborately discussed about the features of Akbar's administration, household, army, the revenues and the geography of his empire. Ain-e-Akbari also provides detailed information about the traditions and culture of the people living in India. The most interesting aspect about the Ain-e-Akbari is that it gives rich statistical detail about diverse things such as crops, yields, prices, wages and revenues. Through Ain-e-Akbari, we come to know that during Akbar's reign, the empire was divided into provinces called Subas. The governor of a Suba was known as Subadar. And the Subadar had to perform political and military responsibilities or tasks. Each province or Suba also had a financial officer. He was known as Diwan. There were some other officers also in each Suba to support Subadar in maintaining peace and order in his Suba, such as the military paymaster, which was known as Bakshi, the minister in charge of religious and charitable patronage called Sadr, military commanders, they were called Faujdars, and the town police commander who was known as Kotwal. Now the nobles during Akbar's reign had control and command over huge armies and had access to great amount of revenue. Till the time the nobles were loyal and faithful, the empire worked efficiently. But gradually the nobles had started developing their own self-interests and their loyalties towards the empire were weakened. By the end of 17th century, many nobles had established their independent networks. During the 1570s, when Akbar was at Fatehpur Sikri, he started discussions on religion with ulemas, brahmanas, Jesuit priests who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians, as he had great interest in the religion and social customs of different people. So he held discussions with the learned individuals of different faiths in the Ibadat Khana. Through these discussions or interactions, Akbar realized that the religious scholars were often bigots who were very intolerant of another person's religious beliefs or culture. It was because they solely emphasized on their own religious rituals and teachings, and their interpretation or teachings created division, friction and conflicts amongst the people of his empire. Finally, Akbar developed an idea of Sulh-e-Kul, means universal peace, to enhance tolerance amongst his subjects. This idea did not discriminate between people of different religions of his kingdom. Rather, this idea of Sulh-e-Kul focused on a universally applicable system of ethics. They were honesty, justice and peace. A vision of governance around this idea of Sulh-e-Kul was framed, in which Abul Fazl helped the emperor. After Akbar, Jahangir and then Shah Jahan also practiced this vision of governance. Now Jahangir, Akbar's son, described his father's policy of Sulh-e-Kul in these following words, and the gist of these words is that Sulhikul was a concept of divine compassion. There was scope for followers of all religion, classes, and creed. There was space for scholars of all religions and for belief, whether they are good or bad. The road to intolerance was closed, and Sunnis and Shias met in one mosque, and Christians and Jews in one church. Thus, the concept of Sulhikul followed the idea of universal peace. Now, let's learn about the Mughal Empire in the 17th century and afterward. The Mughal Empire became economically and commercially prosperous because of its administrative and military efficiency. The empire was described as the fabulous land with enormous wealth by the international travelers, but at the same time, these travelers were shocked to see the extreme poverty prevailing in the empire. There were visible inequalities in the empire. For instance, the documents from the 20th year, that is 1647, of Shah Jahan's reign depict that a very small number, that is 5.6 of the total number of mansabdars, received 61.5%, which is more than half of the total estimated revenue of the empire as salaries for themselves and their troopers. This is a clear example of economic inequalities during the Mughal rule. The Mughal emperors and mansabdars spent a large part of their revenue on salaries and goods. Therefore, the artisans and peasantry who used to supply the Mughal emperor and mansabdars with goods and produce were benefited. But those peasants and artisans who were the primary producers could hardly receive a very small portion of revenue collection. They lived in a very poor state and could hardly think of investing in tools, etc., to increase productivity. Thus, the wealthier peasantry and artisanal groups, the merchants and bankers, were benefited during this time. In the late 17th century, the Mughal elite became extremely powerful as they had enormous wealth and command over resources. The authority of the Mughal emperor started declining, and the people in his service started gaining and increasing power in the region. These servants established new dynasties and took command of provinces like Hyderabad and Awadh. Though they considered the Mughal emperor as their master, by the 18th century the provinces had established their independent political individuality. So children, that's all about the Mughal Empire. Now there are few questions in order to revise the topic. So the first question is, describe Akbarnama and Aine Akbari. Second, describe the administrative features of the provinces during Akbar's reign. Third, what led to Akbar's idea on Sulhikul? Fourth, was there an economic inequality during the Mughal rule? Fifth, what were the political developments with the gradual decline of the Mughal rule? Hope you found this video helpful, and if you wish to watch more of such content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you have any queries or comment, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you.